Welcome
Welcome
to the celebrated nightly news
of Calaveras County.
of Calaveras County.
That's
and it is Monday.
It's Monday today.
And it was a busy weekend.
It was
and
very busy,
I
as you
have to
can see
admit,
by our faces.
I'm tired.
Well, you had a crazy busy weekend.
It was a good one, but it was busy. It was, I guess to top the news, is on Friday night, Bret Hart had one of their biggest wins in several seasons. Because they knocked off the number 5 small school last year in the state, Modesto Christian, and they did it 34-18. It was convincing. It was, it was a lot of fun to see. It really was. It was one of those things to where they just came out and played. And it was, the coaches and kids are doing a great job. Now, this was also one of the first live broadcasts of Bret Hart football. We actually pushed this to cable as well. So this was one of those, I guess it was kind of first for the county a little bit.
First for the county?
Yeah.
And pushed out live?
We actually pushed from Bret Hart for 5 hours.
5 hours.
5 hours
Absolutely.
from Bret Hart. We mixed in a little bit of news with that, but we'll play you just a couple little clips here. See, we even had intro stuff. It was just, next game will be a little slicker. Yeah.
You get one under your belts,
Yeah, you got the first one, We just have to get the first, there's got to be that first one to get it done.
Get it going.
We even had sponsors and, all kinds of stuff. Here we go. Now, we started off streaming some of the JV game just after 5:30, and then we went into, we'll cruise on up here, just a second. Here we go. Play-by-play.
And they hustle up the line. They have not stopped.
It wasn't HD quality, but it was there. So, and
the center for a couple of yards.
Mike Wasicki, Jay Jones, and Kelly Wright did a great job putting together the game. They've been doing this for a lot of years. They do Wasicki and Jones do a very good job on play-by-play and color, and the kids just played phenomenal. 34-18. If you weren't able to watch it Friday night, or on or either live or on the web, we have 4 hours and 40 minutes of video up there. So you have the JV game and all the varsity game.
You have a choice.
Yes, and so you may notice that on some of the JV stuff, we were doing mic testing and setup for the varsity. So you may hear some testing 1, 2, 3 testing, or I hear wind noise or some of that stuff. But congratulations to the Bret Hart football team, because now they are, I believe, the only one in the area that's 2-0. I think everybody else in the Mother Load has lost one.
And almost caught in the backfield.
Calaveras dropped their game Friday night, but there are some really, it was once they got up ahead of them, you were like, you know what? They can beat these guys. And it was, but it was, not a blowout by any means, but it was just, they stayed up on them, and it was it was a fun game. Fun game.
Now, was it a big crowd there? Because I wasn't able to
Yeah,
make
pretty
it.
good crowd.
Pretty good crowd?
Pretty good crowd.
Okay.
And
So they'll let you do it again?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't escort us out of an ear or anything, so
Okay.
we'll see. It was. But anyway, congratulations, Bret Hart, for a nice win, and looking forward to doing it again in a couple weeks. And also on that, if we have 4 hours and 40 minutes of video from Bret Hart.
That's a lot of video.
Yeah, in fact, it actually takes up almost a gig on the server.
Oh, does it?
It's huge.
Wow.
Yeah, it's huge.
Wow.
It's just, we have almost a gig of just raw video files on the server. So it was a fun thing.
So if you want to watch the game again and again.
Again and again. But also there was a fire on Saturday,
There
wasn't
was a fire on on Saturday, and
Yeah.
I heard about it in traffic school.
Oh, there you go.
For those of you who haven't tuned in and heard my experience with getting a ticket on Murphy's Grade Road, I actually was working off that ticket at traffic school and found out about the fire while I was sitting in traffic school. And it was a pretty sizable fire. It was down there in Copperopolis, and it was 104
Yeah, it
acres.
swelled pretty good.
It did. It got going pretty quickly, and it was essentially a vegetation fire.
So they jumped on it. There's quite a bit of equipment.
They jumped on it actually pretty quickly. CDF units responding, Academy Engine 5575, copper engine, and no engine injuries. But they said the cause of the fire is actually a vehicle. It was a vehicle.
Sure.
Exactly. Vehicle passing through the roadway. So there's been a lot of these little spot fires.
Yes, there
and
has.
they've been getting on them pretty quickly, so it's actually kind of a good thing that they've been popping up. But most of them have, except for the Avery one, most of them have taken place in Moreland County.
Because they're grass fire, and
Yes,
sometimes
exactly.
those acreage estimates will balloon up.
Very
Yeah,
quickly.
just
very
quick.
quickly.
Also, I guess a little bit is the next community planning meeting for Arnold. The date has been set,
Yes.
correct?
Uh-huh.
So, and also, this is the slide. We posted the article then about for the meeting in August, where they had all the examples of what great things they could do for Arnold with the streets. Now, what was the date on that? What was it, October
16th.
16th?
It's today.
Next
Oh,
month.
wait, it's
Next
September. Okay.
Yes. But that is so planned because if you care about the Ebbets Pass corridor and development along the corridor, this is a meeting you shouldn't miss.
That's right, because you can give your input, and actually, if you
And they even
go
listen.
to the site, and they listen exactly. If you go to the site, there's actually some fabulous designs of rural areas like the Arnold area,
Yes,
and
there are.
how they've designed them to be livable for full-time residents, but also be attractive for part-time
Towns in Oregon, Idaho, even a few in California.
That's right. There are a few.
And also, if you've been under a rock all weekend and have not peeked out from under it at all, you may
Which
not
is
have
okay.
known that OJ was arrested
That's right.
over the weekend. And
he
this
was
all
pulled in
started
for questioning before the weekend.
Yes, but this all started with an incident last week to where he was ostensibly going into a hotel room to recover some of his property.
But he had some people with him who had guns.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and then there's also this whole thing that I'm sure will come out in the course of the trial is because of all the lawsuits and the civil issues with the Goldmans, does he have right to any of the memorabilia? And we were
That's
hearing
true.
some stuff over the weekend that say this may help in some interesting ways, kind of some Al Capone-esque type of components,
Oh,
because
okay.
let's say he has to post bail, which he probably would be able to do so, but where's he going to get the money? And if he gets the money, then it exposes where he's been getting
money.
income. So there's going to probably be some. He could go away for a long time on this stuff,
Yes.
and it's a interesting thing. But also TMZ, TMZ.com, which is the I guess the
Kind of like the
celebrity
gossip
stuff
website.
extraordinaire.
Yes.
This is, excuse me, sorry. This is raw footage from inside the hotel room, and there's a lot of really weird stuff that's going to come out of this because this is one of the guys in the hotel room taping it. Why?
Taping it while they're doing that.
Yeah.
But as an aside, there are a lot of criminals out there who keep clippings of the crimes they've committed. They actually keep scrapbooks of this stuff. So maybe he was sort of doing the same thing, except doing it himself.
I don't know. All right, and some of these words in here are a little crude, but it's raw footage. So, and it's basically, and this is and we'll try to keep those, but it's basically, and it's just all these guys where he's cussing. It's just, yeah, but this is raw
inside the
footage
hotel room.
inside. Don't let anybody out of here. Do you think you can steal my blank, blank, blank? all this stuff where steal my Nadoni, but that is interesting raw footage from inside the hotel room.
It just doesn't stop, does it? It just keeps going.
Yeah. So I guess
So we'll just have to see.
we had
what
the
happens
trial.
with him.
I guess we'll have the trial of the century part 2.
I don't think it's. I wouldn't even call. I wouldn't even call the first one the trial of the
No,
century.
I know. But
That was a. Anyway.
Yeah.
It fascinated people, but I don't think it was the trial of the century.
All right.
But anyhow, that's sort of exciting news from your side of the news desk. I have the Board of Supervisors, which is very light agenda tomorrow. There are actually a lot of minute orders on the agenda, which they'll hear at about 9:30 tomorrow morning. The regular meeting starts at 9 o'clock in San Andreas. If you want to head on down there and see how your local board actually does their job down there. And one of the things that we're discussing under the minute order was approving a contract for architectural design and construction service for the legal building court security improvement. Because they're always looking to improve their court security. And those of you who've been down there know that the court actually houses not only just the courts, but the Board of Supervisors, COG, and other community and government entities as well.
Yeah.
So they'll be talking about actually handing that over to Nat Lewis for the entry area, actually. So for design implementation for the entry area. So that should be interesting. And also the other thing, which I thought was interesting, I wasn't able to get the background information on this, but they're going to discuss consideration of alternative construction and financing for animal services. You know, they've been dealing with animal services for a couple of years over there, and it was handed over to the sheriff.
Right.
And that improved things, but they still need to improve them that way. And then the regular meeting, just regular meeting. They will meet with their lobbyists. I think it's fascinating that Calaveras County has a lobbying group.
That's actually kind of a fun meeting.
It is. It is. Ferguson Group provides lobbying.
They actually wear ties to the meeting.
They do.
Yeah, I mean, because
Like
this is
they were really
if you
in
go
Washington.
to these meetings, you'll notice that, I guess, Supervisor Thomas has taken the level of dress up. So now there's usually a county council and one supervisor with a tie.
County council's always worn a tie.
Well, so now there's 2 people up on the.
That's right, 2 up
yes,
there on the podium.
so,
But the Ferguson groups their representatives always dress very professionally as well. And so they'll come in and talk about the status of current federal earmarks and possible monies that could come to Calaveras County. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
And also, I guess, on other big news over the weekend was the inaugural Ebbets Pass Scenic Byway celebration.
Mm-hmm.
All right? This was the ceremonial dissolution of the line between
That's right.
Calaveras and Alpine County.
Mm-hmm.
The signage was changed. It was even the sign up there, I don't know if you can see it right here, it says, "Welcome to Alpaveras County."
Alpaveras County.
So the signs on Highway 4 were changed to Alpaveras County.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 8 spots along Highway 4 where you could stop and get your passport stamped.
Yeah.
And we had heard really good comments from people. It's like there was, and it was a funny thing because our kids, we ended up getting so busy we didn't get a couple of them stamped, and the kids were upset
yes,
because
I
I think
bet they
I didn't
were.
realize how much this would appeal to the younger set. They want those
they'd love
passports
those.
stamped.
Absolutely.
Wow. But it was and this one we'll have lots more video and photos to put up over the next couple days.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you have a voyeuristic bent, so to speak, we put up a webcam at the Arnold location inside the tent there.
That was in front of Serafina's.
In front of Serafina's, and there is 4 hours and 42 minutes of
So in 24
video.
hours, you took 8 hours worth of video? Over 8 hours worth of video.
Oh yeah.
In
So
24
not only that,
hours.
we have over 8 hours of video footage that's on the site.
Yes.
You can watch it all. some of you may not want to,
That's
but
a little frightening. But at least it's there for you.
it
if
is
you would
there.
like to.
So, but this one's kind of interesting because you can kind of actually see the ebb and flow of the event. At the beginning, there was an interesting thing here where you see some of the dignitaries show up. See, they're actually doing some. Here, we'll blow this up. You probably won't be able to see it very well, but they're actually doing some interviews here because they're catching some audio because there's going to be an Ebbets Pass movie made.
Yes.
And so they were doing a lot of the voiceover interviewing people on what the byway means to them, different types of things. You can see Chicory the chipmunk
That's right.
out there in the back from the Ebbets Pass Forest Watch. And also on here is kind of interesting thing is you see Paul Moeller come up and he and Jan are doing some interviews and it is there we go.
So there are a lot of people
kind of
out
some
there at that.
kind of some interesting
particular-
stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, we have 8+ hours.
8+ hours within a 24-hour time span.
Oh, there's Ken Jones. There's Ken Jones setting up, getting some video. This is the shots that he's going to take. He's going to do the movie. And local videographer Ken Jones. And there we.
And it was very well attended.
It was.
Okay.
And then towards the end, you can see this is almost 5 hours into it. I thought this was kind of funny. As you can tell, they're starting to get tired.
Yes. That's a long time.
Yeah, see, they're like, okay, the crowds are getting a little sparse
Yes,
there.
exactly.
It's
they
just.
want to sit down. It looks like this woman has been standing up the whole time.
Pretty much. That's commitment.
That is commitment. To stand up for 5 hours for a cause.
All right, there we go.
There you go.
That was the Ebbets Pass Scenic Byway Celebration. We'll continue to talk some more about it. There's 5 hours of video there if you'd like to watch it, but we also took other shots at other venues across, over from Markleyville on back. There was live music. One of the interesting things that we thought was at the Hermit Valley location, there was a booth set up for the McCullamy Crest to Coast Trail. This is very fascinating because you can actually, it's a trail goes all the way up from, you probably know this more than I do, but it goes all the way up back through West Point over to Bear Valley. So it actually cuts across the upper portions of the county, which is kind of unusual because usually you don't think of the upper portions of the county, we're kind of like you can't get there from here, normally.
No, normally you couldn't, but there is a trail back there.
There is a trail.
They have cut a trail back there, and if you go to the Forest Service, you can get a map of
there
that
from
trail.
here.
So if you're kind of curious about that, or if you're a hiker and you like to do that sort of thing, it's actually, apparently, I've never done that, but apparently it's kind of a cool thing.
Sarah is a big hiker. She just loves the outdoors.
Oh,
it's
yes,
that,
yes. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge I want to tell you.
Yeah.
It's located in Arizona.
Yes, of course.
And so that was actually quite an event, and they will do it next year too.
It was, and they were pretty excited. We saw.
You know where I saw it, which was sort of cool, in the AAA magazine.
You saw it in Via.
I saw it in Via.
Because that was one of the things that Jan
Via.
Huffey did some great work on doing the publicity for the event.
Yes.
And that was quite a coup to get it written up in Via, because that is because they could target. It's a very.
If they don't, I'm not quite sure what the criteria are for their calendar.
But it's a good group because you have to be rich enough to have a AAA card, right?
I guess so. Boy, there's some dollars for you.
Yeah.
Of course, if you have insurance with AAA, you've got to have the card first.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Those elitists over at AAA.
Yes. Yes. And there was various accidents over the weekend. There was another one on Murphy's Grade Road, and not quite a head-on, kind of a side swipe, opposing directions. No serious injuries, luckily. But we came upon this one Friday night, leaving the stadium, heading home, boom, roads are blocked.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, and then we saw the ambulance head out about 10 minutes before we took off, and it was like, oh, great, not another one.
Yeah,
and,
exactly. Exactly.
But luckily, this one was just mostly property damage instead of
any personal damage.
Yeah.
Or people damage.
Yeah.
So, and there's cows.
More
Cows were on the news
more
today.
cows.
Yes, a brown and white cow was on the loose on Pole Station Road. I can't believe all these cows that are getting out.
I know.
Can you believe that? I can't believe that. So, cow news. We should have a special section.
On
Cow
cows.
news. Absolutely.
And I guess if you're perusing a little bit of national stuff, if you're trying to look at the ebb and flow.
Why don't we talk?
Oh, let's talk about our stuff. Yep,
the
you got
GABA,
it.
The GABA September Mixer is actually this Thursday at Colleen's Corner in Arnold, and that is Thursday, September 20th, and that is actually over in Cedar Center.
Yes,
It is.
Cedar Center.
So if you want to go and stop by between 5:30 and 7:30, there'll be food, beverages, and conversation. And GABA will be there, which is the Greater Arnold Business Association. And they will have wine for sale and a raffle. And they actually do a lot for the community. Yeah.
They do. It's kind of one of those
So it's one of those things to support.
part Chamber of Commerce, part social, part.
Which is sort of a cool thing.
And one of the interesting things we saw when we were up there in Bear Valley is, speaking of just corridor specific stuff, is they're getting the siding on those new Silver Mountain condos. So within probably, I would say, another 3 or 4 days, they'll be dried in. Roofing on, siding stuff. You know, the interior still hasn't been finished, but that's the first major development up there in a long time. It's the first phase of just the Silver Mountain condos, I believe, is about 91 condos.
Wow.
There. And they're coming along.
Yeah. They're moving right along.
Yes, they are. What about anything in state stuff? Interesting?
Special section dealing with health care and water issues this week. The governor called the special session. And there are a couple headlines. Schwarzenegger makes health care push. Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger's self-proclaimed year of health care reform. Well, he better get going. Has turned out to be a year of gridlock with the state legislature. Who would have saw that coming?
No.
But the ever-optimistic governor is still clinging
It's
to his
bipartisan
dream.
gridlock, right?
Yes, of course. To his dream of bringing universal health care to California. The governor has called lawmakers back to town for an overtime shift, formerly known as a special session of the legislature, with the hopes of cutting a deal. And actually, that's from the San Jose Mercury. The AP says, after a year of gridlock, lawmakers say they want to reach deals with Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger to reform health care and improve the state's water supply. But a special legislative session called last week by the governor might not result in consensus and compromise. And if the state budget situation is any indication, I think that little not result in consensus and compromise would probably be.
A little more. Do you have any more state stuff, or do you want to swerve into it?
I do actually. I just need to scroll down to it because it was sort of an interesting little. Let's see if I can find it. It's going here. It was sort of a little. This was it because they're dealing with water issues as well.
Right.
Because we're looking at water shortage. Headlines: a trickle of water might save the estuary. The Colorado River Delta was once a watery labyrinth. Oh, well, this guy's way too descriptive. I'll do another one. Species protection ruling dams use of Delta waters. This is from the Oakland Tribune.
Right.
A court order to protect fish has ushered in a new era of limits on water taken from the Delta for California's farms and cities. State agencies and farm interests say the mandated cutbacks reinforce the governor's plan to build reservoirs and perhaps a peripheral canal. Environmentalists say that the order is a wake-up call for Californians to reduce their dependence on Delta water. Either way, few expect that water supply cuts imposed in the judge's order will be reinstated anytime soon, which means we now have less water to work with, not only for the farms, but also our basic water supply. And with water, it's not like electricity. You've got to catch it, and you can't just make it. So we'll see what happens with that.
A little touch on national news. With the exception of the OJ thing, which obviously captured more headlines. Probably the more substantive thing over the weekend was the new Greenspan book.
Yeah.
And this one really, but then there was some interesting where now Greenspan came out and corrected some of the things today and said they were taken out of context or actually misconstrued.
Imagine
no
that.
way.
Oh, surprise,
but,
surprise.
So basically, Greenspan's book, or little snippets of it, have been used saying the war in Iraq was, instead of, I guess it was a contextual change, because Greenspan, what came out in the press was that we went to war in Iraq for oil. And Greenspan changed that. And this is a minor change, but I think it clarifies it and still may not be overly flattering to the administration. But what it was is the Greenspan's comments were saying that the Iraq War was largely about oil. And so the essence is if the Islamic fundamentalists had control of a lot of the region where most of the world's oil was produced, then they would have basically hold the world's economy hostage. And that wouldn't be a good thing. But I guess it was it depends on how your feelings on that, but it was a minor contextual change instead of...
Well, when you start pulling things out of context, they take on a whole life of their own. It was like the Mother Teresa book that was released, and the media just had a field day with that, and they pulled a lot of it out of context. And what was interesting is she actually requested that those, when she was alive, she requested that none of those writings or diaries ever
be made public. It's kind of like her personal diary,
That's her personal
kind of like
diary.
inner thoughts.
Yes, exactly.
And I guess we do have a new Attorney General, or one that everybody feels will be confirmed. I guess confirmability is the watchword.
Confirmability.
Yeah, confirmability. And this is a state judge from New York, McCasey.
Okay.
And I guess he was the presiding judge in some of the first round of Trade Center bombing trials. So he has his terrorism prosecutorial chops, or presiding chops, so
Presiding
to speak.
chops, exactly.
And then I think that, so I think people from both sides of the aisle, Democrats have come out and said it's a good pick, so it doesn't look like he's going to have any issues getting confirmed.
Well, that's good, because those can be sticky wickets, to say the least.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes forever.
We're going to be, you know what? We're running into weather time, and I think we're going to be short on it.
Okay, here we go. Weather. We got weather. No, we don't have any weather.
We don't have any weather.
We don't
Okay.
have any weather.
There's going to be we're going to be quick. High of 71 tomorrow, 61 with a 20% chance of showers on Wednesday. Thursday, 20% chance of showers and high of 57. That was for Arnold. Bear Valley, similar but a little bit colder, 40% chance.
But a little different.
Yeah, a little different. Murphy's, we are looking at high of 80 tomorrow, high of 68 on Wednesday. Thursday, a high of 65. It's basically going to get cooler with a chance of showers heading through the week. And Angels Camp, it's going to be, and that's it. And we thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you tomorrow night.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.